And then shortly after, not that many years later, came 9/11.
Yes, indeed.
And again, there were multiple indications that something like this was about to happen.
I'll plug a book, not my own, which I've been reading in the car coming down here. It's called The New Pearl Harbor: Disturbing Questions About the Bush Administration and 9/11. It's by David Ray Griffin. I don't know him. Foreword by Richard Falk. There it is, and it's very thorough. It's not, a hectic prose. Fingers are pointed. A lot of it is questions that never got answered. For instance, one of the questions which I asked first in Perpetual War for Perpetual Peace. The law is that if a plane has been hijacked within something like 6-7 minutes, fighter planes are scrambled. That's sent aloft to investigate, to get the plane to come back to Earth, get it to return to where it came from, or if necessary, shoot it down. The planes never went off in the 2 hours that they knew from the first hijacking until the very last one. And there's some dizzy story, oh, well, after they hit the Pentagon, next to last of the hijacked planes. Anyway, I recommend this book. It's very disturbing because you really realize that there's a lot of menace around, and that since we don't have a free press or media, since it all belongs to the same sort of people who benefit from these wars and pay for the people who are in Congress, White House, we have no redress. We have no place to turn, except a kind of samizdat, which we're beginning to develop in the United States, writing for each other, and then information begins to get around. I went to Moscow a few times before the Soviet Union collapsed, and I was always amazed with all that censorship they had, and Pravda and so on. I said, how is it that most of the Russians that I talk to, intellectuals, know more about what's going on in the world than the average American with our tons and tons of newsprint and TV? Oh, they said, it's a trick. You learn it when you're a kid. You learn how to read Pravda, which ironically is Russian for the word truth. So it's sort of like this. You hold the paper up like that until it's nearly upside down. Then in the lower left right-hand corner, you'll get a little bit of the truth, and then you go like that to the back page, and you have to know where to go. They'd worked it out like a picture puzzle. And they were very well informed, being constantly lied to, as we are.
Well, you said in the book, Perpetual War for Perpetual Peace, and this is, again, a must-read for anybody who wants to know about the modern world, that one of the aspects of the post-9/11 period was a chapter you called Shredding the Bill of Rights. And I had, sort of told my own kids that John Ashcroft, then Attorney General, was the only one who had taken Bush really seriously when Bush explained 9/11, when he said, they hate us because we're free. And Ashcroft proceeded to strip away our freedom, so presumably they would hate us less. But I don't think
good thinking, logical thinking, yes.
But how, in your opinion, did the public go along with this? Do you think fear was the answer?
Well, fear is kind of the beginning of everything. Goering at Nuremberg gave an interview off the record, and somebody, a bright journalist, just said, how on earth did you pull it off, you Nazis, to get the Germans, who were a civilized people for several hundred years, to turn into the bloody Huns and go to war, create concentration camps? And Goering said, well, no sensible man is ever going to join your army and risk getting killed unless there's a strong reason. And that's fear. And we knew how to create it. The Bolsheviks are coming, or whichever enemy of the weak it was. The Poles are coming, the Czechs are killing the Sudeten Germans, and they'll try and kill you too. Well, just look what's been done now in the name of freedom and liberty. I'm a wartime president. Yep. Look at me. Well, the wartime president, it's not a matter of if they strike, it's when. Could be next Tuesday. I've heard that from the president's lips. The fear is constant, and it's just, for instance, every child of 9 outside the United States knows that Saddam Hussein had nothing to do with Al-Qaeda and nothing to do with Osama bin Laden. As a matter of fact, the two men despised each other. Every day for months, one day it would be the vice president, the next day it would be the president, saying how Saddam Hussein, we got to get him. We got to get him because of 9/11. We got to take care of evil all over the world. Bring him back dead or alive. Now, if the people hear that from what they assume is their president, elected president, they're bound to believe it's bound to, there's some residue that stays in people's heads. They can't keep lying all that much. And so with terror, they have been able to come up with the USA Patriot Act, which nobody seems to be able to get their hands on. I can't find it. Bits of it we get, but that's about all, which shreds our civil liberties. And we're now at war with just about everybody. We're talking about possible strikes against Iran, North Korea, Syria. We have gone barbarous. We have gone back 2,000–3,000 years in human history to almost pre-Roman times. And the rationale among themselves is we got to have that oil. Well, the money we spend on a war, we could develop an alternative to fossil fuels. It's not that far away in the future. But we don't. We prefer the wars.